What's going on, everybody? Darkstar Lou here, bringing you a game I have long anticipated, and I just finished streaming earlier this morning, Dark Souls Remastered. Now, here's what I looked like at the end of the stream. I had a really bitchin' looking metallic, like, boar kind of helmet. I had a really cool shield, and I had a really nice halberd, although I think those two are, you always find them in the same spot. That boar head, which I would later figure out, was a random drop because, well, a friend of mine watched, and he said that I completely, as much as I try not to swear, I'm going to go verbatim here. He's like, Dark, you done fucked up. The spot in particular where I screwed up, and basically I just reset my character, was the Fire Keeper soul that I had found by that ridiculously big guardian with a huge shield and a mace. I used it because it said it would strengthen my Estus flask. He said that's where I fucked up, and he told me to go through step by step, like what I went through, like what I did, what I picked up, and there was, unfortunately, I asked him a lot of the questions that I also had during the live stream, since nobody was actually in the live stream. He watched it on YouTube after it had finally posted, and I guess he had skipped ahead to certain parts to see what had happened, what I did, and he came across that spot where I used the Firekeeper soul, and that's when he immediately hit me up and was like, Dark, he's like, you screwed up. But I asked him, a bunch of questions, and, I ended up just deleting and restarting. I made the same character, the exact same build, renamed him Darkstar Lou, started as a warrior, same face, same hair, and I will say that following his tips, let's just say the bell gargoyles destroyed me about 5 or 6 times before this guy hit me up and let me know the error of my ways. So here's what I learned, and here's what my character looks like now. One of the first things I learned was that the master key that I had gotten, aside from unlocking that freaking rock guy that destroyed me and that house, is there was a little path over here that I completely missed that had a soul, item in it, which will eventually I will use to build up my strength. Another one was coming back down to this place. He said that there was another one of those fire souls, and mind you, this is probably about the 6th time I tried running this before I finally found it. And when I finally found it, I fell into the water. I didn't realize there was a thin strip of land right there, so I went back for the final time, and I ended up getting that soul and making my escape. I didn't even know where this Firekeeper was. I completely was oblivious to this location the first, several times I was running back and forth past the spot. I had no idea she was even there. And that is where my Firekeeper soul was to be used. And then I saw it is at Estus Flask +1, and it was a huge improvement over, what I was used to. I also learned that you could jump, and about this little gap right here. Again, this was probably my 3rd time, because I dropped down twice, and eventually the 3rd time was the charm, and I ended up making. I also learned, he told me some terminology about the heavy rolling. I was saying it was called fat rolling. Is that it was okay to remove some armor or a headpiece or whatever, if to make you move faster. Over here, I learned that those the elevators that I avoided at first actually held a little hidden spot down below that had a few treasure chests, 4 of them to be exact. It had actually a better weapon than the longsword I had started with. Now, and this thing also induces a bleed effect. I don't think I had actually seen that before the upcoming part where I ran through the graveyard to find a ridiculous 2-handed greatsword. I'm not exactly sure how it's pronounced. I mean, it looks like Zweihander. Any of you who know Dark Souls, you know exactly what weapon I'm talking about. I don't know if it's Zweihander or Zweihander. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but you know what it is. The ridiculous 2-handed sword with the little spike in the middle. It just looks really cool, and it's just really cool to use the heavy attack to kind of go overhead and, basically face plant the enemy. I know there was probably another item in here that I completely forgot. I was trying to remember exactly what my buddy told me, but I did end up getting turned around right there. I think I was going into what he said was a spot I shouldn't go into until late game. He said it's very easy to go into late game areas early, and he said down where I was going to get you know, down where the ghosts are, that is also a late game area, which is why I was having so much difficulty. As you see, I didn't quite make it, but I got what I went in there for. Over here is where I actually learned about even if you don't have enough strength to actually hold a weapon, you can still wield it two-handed to actually use it. You know, now I know what that little X meant. You know, I didn't know that certain weapons you may not have been able to hold, you could do that with. I also learned about this little area right over here by these shield and spear guys that I completely overlooked when I got to the Undead Burg, that there was a vendor here. He sounds a little creepy, and he talks to someone named Yulia. But yeah, there's a vendor down here who sells some stuff, and I finally learned what the kindling meant and why I had, you know, 5 Estus flasks everywhere, but you know, and I had 10 sometimes. When you make yourself human, you have to kindle the other fires, and that will also give you 10. Also, being human, that's where all these little summon signs come from. I also learned that if, you know, by attacking this red dragon's tail, I'd end up with basically the most powerful weapon you could have at this time of the game. And last but not least, well, I'm sorry, not last, I also found this little spot over here where there's a bonfire over here that all I had to do was make the right turn instead of making the left into the little temple where the giant Black Knight and that sorcerer are, and also the blacksmith downstairs. And this is a much more convenient bonfire because those bell gargoyles killed me, and every time they killed me I ended up back in Firelink Shrine. And I mean, granted, it wasn't, you know, a terrible trip, but you know, this one's much shorter. Last but not least was this guy who killed me numerous times, and when I finally put him down, I got what my buddy had told me was basically the best ring in the game, mainly because, you know, it gives you more health, more carry capacity, and more stamina, but I also can't remove it. Which leads me to, this is my character now. I did end up beating that first Black Knight that killed me in my live stream, and I ended up getting that shield off of him. And that's the Drake sword I ended up getting from the Red Dragon. And I was looking for, he also told me that the knight, only when you're human can you summon people. He said he would be in one of the bright yellow ones. And I just wanted to get him to see what it was like. So I summoned him, and eventually, now that I'm a lot more powerful than during my live stream, you know, this is Darkstar Lu remade. Now I had a very good feeling about going up against these bell gargoyles now. And now that I understand a lot more about the humanity and the hollow thing, whereas if I were hollow, now I also learned that I run the risk of being invaded as a human. Fortunately for me, that did not happen. I was not invaded. I still don't know what the grave lord things are. I didn't quite ask about that. But anyway, I'm going to leave you with the rest of this. This is going to be my character that I'm sticking with him. I'm going to try not to remake him. I'm going to try not to screw up. I'll probably just inquire with my buddy before I try to do anything major. But I'll leave you with the Bell Gargoyle fight. I hope you guys liked. If you did, please leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more Dark Souls. Until next time, thanks for watching. You take care.